Tampa Bay Bucks at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers favored by 11.5 here. This was Brock Purdy's first start last year against the Bucks. And they dominated the Bucks last year. 11.5 point spread in San Francisco. Of course, Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams came back last week, and the Niners looked like the same.
Looked like the Niners again.
Juggernaut on both sides of the ball, really. Could have been the bye week as well. They were coming off a bye too, right? I say those without really having that confidence.
Yes, they were.
But the Niners came off a bye and fixed some things defensively because they looked pretty bad for back-to-back weeks against the Bengals and against the Vikings. So are the Niners back? It looks like it. Vegas believes that.
Yeah, reasonably so. I mean, they were dominant again, and when they looked dominant, they were, I think, as good as any team in the NFL. The Brock Purdy roller coaster this year has been fascinating, right? So coming off last season, obviously he hadn't lost in a game that he'd started and finished. His numbers were like through the roof, but some of the underlying metrics didn't look good. Like he had 5 big-time throws all of last season. This year, he started off the season playing kind of the same way as he played last year, but he kept winning because the 49ers are good. And then he had a couple of games that were really good. And now we're like talking about MVP, Tom Brady. Like the hype was getting like absolutely out of control for Brock Purdy. And then he played like crap for a week or two. And then all of that went away. And it's like, the Brock Purdy thing, it was a fraud. It's all a myth. Like everything disappeared. And then he kind of bounced back last season. But one of the things that I think is interesting is right at the time he started to play really well and the hype was getting out of control, we were like obviously tapping the brakes on that hype, but saying, hey, look, for a guy as young as he is and as inexperienced, like if he just starts playing better and, matching this kind of level, like A, the 49ers become virtually unstoppable, but B, it is reasonable to expect that he will get better and change versus a year ago. So last season, as I said, 5 big-time throws all year, which is a big-time throw rate of 2%, which is pathetic, right? That's like worse than the lowest big-time throw rate ever.
It's low.
It's pathetic. It's awful.
It's low in an offense that generally doesn't need them, but carry on.
The point being, it's terrible. It doesn't... He was not adding big-time throws to an offense, right? This year, his big-time throw rate has jumped to 5.9%, despite none of them in the first 2 weeks. So he started off the season, again, like last year, not adding those big-time throws to the table at all. Since then, has jumped to a throw rate of 5.9%, which is 6th in the league. Like he's gone from, I'm not really adding any of these big-time throws to this offense, to all of a sudden, there are few quarterbacks adding more big-time throws to their offense than Brock Purdy this season.
Yeah, that is what makes them dangerous. I mean, last week's throw to George Kittle in a tight pocket.
Dime.
In tight coverage, right? So and that's the combination, right? Kyle Shanahan's going to have his wins. We're going to have some play call wins in this offense. You're going to have some plays where it's Shanahan plus Purdy's anticipation, right? His biggest attribute is throwing the ball early, his anticipation. And now if you add, hey, the play call's not actually that great. Kittle's not even that open, but you threw a dime and put it on him. Or for whatever we want to discuss about Purdy throwing back across his body to Brandon Ayuk, he created a play out of structure and gave his guy an opportunity to make a play. We're adding those plays to this offense. That's when the whole thing comes together and is dangerous. The few times where Purdy's gotten into trouble is fourth quarter comeback opportunities, where, again, I think he just happened to throw the ball to the defense a couple times in must-pass situations that got caught. They weren't getting caught earlier in the season. So, yeah, Niners in full strength, really dangerous. I think the Bucs, again, they've got a good run defense, but this is the type of run game where get McCaffrey in space. They're wide zone type of toss sweep game and everything. I think the Niners can have success on the ground as well. And then on the other side, the Bucs are just so dependent on Baker Mayfield getting the ball to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin still. Mm-hmm. If they don't ball out, like they need to ball out to pull this upset.
The Bucs offense is like the worst rushing offense in the NFL. Do you know how much they are averaging before contact per rush attempt?
It might be in the negatives, but probably like 0.3.
0.5, which is basically half a yard worse than anybody else.
It's the same thing. It was the same thing last year, and it wasn't just scheme last year. They just weren't good run blocking, and Rashad White's interesting because I think he's a good runner at maximizing what they're. He almost feels like the opposite of Jamal Charles, where Jamal Charles would just like create these big plays. He wouldn't create after contact. He would just create these big plays. Rashad White has impressive 4 and 5 yard runs out of nowhere. He's a very good pass catcher. Had that long screen the other day. But yeah, it's a very one-dimensional attack in Tampa Bay. It's an interesting year for the Bucs offense because like Baker Mayfield's not taking negative plays as far as sacks. He's generally taking care of the ball. He's creating some plays with his legs. I think he's just been inconsistent from an accuracy standpoint, but in certain games he gets the ball to Mike Evans and Godwin enough that they can put points on the board, and they've been better these last couple weeks. I think it's going to be a shootout, though. And if it's a shootout, Bucs have to play like they did against the Texans a couple weeks ago. It's going to be tough against this Niners D.
Yeah.
11.5, though. Where are you going?
It's a big number, but I think if the 49ers are like this when Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel are in the lineup, I'm taking them always.
Yeah, I'm going to go there, too. That's a lot of points. The Bucs aren't great, but they're not. Oh, man, I'll take the Niners still to cover it.